Hey beautiful people, what's going on? Hope you're all doing amazingly well and staying safe and healthy within the circumstances going on at the moment. We are back with another Let's Talk Mentality video. I believe this is episode 10. It's taken me a while to get to episode 10, not gonna lie, but we are here. We are here with a new topic today, and the topic I'm going to be going over with you today is worrying. If you've not seen any of my Let's Talk Mentality videos, I really recommend them. They're basically talking about the underlying issues of mental health instead of just going above and beyond with all the disorders, so things like anxiety, depression, going beneath the roots and really thinking what is actually going on beneath there. So things that really make those disorders happen for us, what it is that makes us feel the way we do every single day, if there's anything we can do to help that, support that, change our ways of thinking and changing our mindset. So hope you enjoy this video. It would be amazing if you could subscribe, because I would love to build this community and just have that amazing place where people can go to speak about all these terms and different feelings that we all go through every day, and it's just really important to me. So it would be amazing if you could subscribe. If you think the Let's Talk Mentality videos are helpful for somebody else, please share them with them. And without further ado, let's get into today's video, and it's about worrying. Worrying is all about when you're continuously anxious about something, when there's something going on in your mind, whether that be something that you're going through at present moment, or whether that's something that could be potentially happening in the future. It's something that we think on for quite a long time. It could be something that lasts from a mere half an hour to a few days to a lifetime. You could be worrying about something every single day. It could be something new, something that's just continuous, and it's just soul consuming. It is one of the most difficult feelings I think can be a struggle sometimes to really get over and really solve. So the thing with worrying is we can get into this phase of overthinking, overanalyzing, continuously thinking about this same thought. It could be happening one thought after the other. It could be a continuous thought that just keeps going round and round in your head. It's ongoing, you just can't seem to let it go. You think of all the possible scenarios that could be of this thing that's going on, and you probably think of the worst possible outcome. So say for example, you go and apply for a new job and you're thinking, what if I don't get it? What if I get it, but then they decide actually they don't want me to have it, they take that away from me? What if I start this new job and I'm completely rubbish? And I've probably got a lot of you thinking right now, why do people do this to themselves? Like, this is one of the most exhausting things you could do for mind and body, but people do it. Everybody does it. Previously, I have been very guilty of worrying. There would be times where I would just be completely overthinking, completely overanalyzing, and it got to the point where if I wasn't worrying about something, I'd have to find something to worry about because it just didn't feel normal. I mean, how strange is that? You have to find another worrying thought to take over a thought that you had previously because that's not normal. I think worrying is something that everybody does. We all worry about something, but I think it's how long you allow it to go on for and how much you allow it to take over your life. That's when you really have to think, okay, so why am I worrying about this? What is it that's making me so exhausted and so worried about this one thought? Worrying, it's easier said than done. It's not something that you can simply switch off, especially if you're somebody that's just a generally anxious person. If you've been brought up with it previously, or if you know somebody in your family that is a worrier and worries pretty much every single day, you're likely to pick up on it, and you're likely to attract those habits for yourself and do that for yourself, which psychologically, when we see other people doing things or when other people around us are brought up with it, we're likely to take that on for ourselves. Especially if you're brought up with it, it becomes a normalized thing. If somebody is worrying every single day about something, it becomes a normalized activity. So if you're not doing it, naturally you tend to take hold of it because that's just what you think should be happening for yourself. And it's not necessarily if it's been brought up around you. If you've been through a lot of circumstances before, a lot of experiences that have made you worry, again, that can be something that can make you just a naturally worried person. Nowadays, I would say, yes, at times I'm still a worrier naturally, but I've definitely learned to control those thoughts and really strategically analyze them rather than let it overthink in my head. It's mainly been due to a factor of things. So I have family members that have been naturally worried people. I've been in situations where I've just been overly extremely worried, and with those experiences, it's sometimes brought me negative feelings, negative thoughts, like like worst case scenario type of thoughts, and I've just allowed it to naturally be embraced because that's just how it was. That's just how I thought. Worrying was just one of those things. Worried if my car's going to pass its MOT, even though there's been nothing wrong with it, that it's absolutely fine. I still worry about it passing. Worry about friends and family. If they're going through rough times, then obviously I worry about them. Previously, when I've done coursework, uni, exams, I've always worried about if I'm going to do well in it, and if I don't do well, like the possible outcomes for that. I'm not going to pass uni, I'm not going to pass my exams, I'm not going to get a good career, and you get the gist of it. It's just continuous, and it is so tiresome. It's one of the worst feelings I think we can feel as human beings, because worrying it does nothing. It does nothing but exhaust your thoughts, exhaust your physicality, stops you from doing things, stops you from being productive and carrying on with your day. It's just an absolute nuisance of a feeling. So is there a way to overcome worrying? Is there a way to get past it? Is there a way to at least be able to deal with it every single day, so that when you do have those worrying thoughts, you are able to just get past it and feel human and feel like you can overcome these things? Of course there is. There's always things that you can try. Sometimes it's not necessarily getting rid of your worriedness completely, because obviously if you're naturally that person anyway, it's something that takes time and it's something that won't go away so easily. But there are things that you can implement into your daily routine so that you're not so worried about things, and that you're able to strategically think, okay, what can I do to reduce this worry and make it go away? So here are things that I've done, that I've previously done, that I think really work, and I think will help you if you find worrying a really difficult thing to maintain. So first of all, worrying in the short term, it does absolutely nothing. When you ask yourself why you're worrying about something, really think about what it is you're actually worrying about. With my example of taking my car for its MOT, why am I worried about that? Have there been problems with it previously? Is there something that I'm worried about that it's not passing? Like, is there something physically there that is making that worry presentable? Like, there's a foundation to that worry. If the answer is no, then you've just answered it for yourself. If there's actually nothing physically there that's able to support your worry, disregard it, because it's not going to do anything but make it continuous. So as well as in the short term it does nothing, in the long term it does nothing. For example, one of my uni examples, if I was worried about passing university third year, if I was worried this assignment that I wrote a 2,000 word essay on wasn't going to be good enough, did that mean that I would not pass university? Would that mean that I would not be able to get my BA? Would that mean that I would not be able to do what I'm able to do in future? No. Worrying does nothing but magnifies things that really, when you think about it, sometimes aren't actually there. It's something that's just processing in your mind. It's just going on continuously, and you just end up feeling really exhausted, and there's just no point. So in the short term and in the long term, it does nothing. So if there's no foundation behind it, just disregard it completely. Kind of moving on from that, if there is something behind why you're worrying, like there is a physical thing, what are you actually worrying about it? So for example, with the car going through its MOT, say the engine light was coming on and my car was making a funny noise, then yes, it might be a bit of a concern, because that would mean that there'd be something that would need to be done to the car. It's something that they would need to check out and fix so that I'm able to use it again. I might be worried about paying for it. I might be worried about that I might not be able to drive it, or that I have to get another car in future. But even with that solid foundation, I'm such a big believer in that things are what they are. They will be what they will be. You can't physically do anything about it. If my MOT was next week, I'm not going to waste a whole week thinking about it, because there's just no point. It's just going to take up all my energy. I'm going to be physically drained every single day. I'm not going to be focusing on anything else. I'm not going to be feeling happy and grateful about things in my life if I'm worried about things like that. There is an exercise that you can do that's an actual physical writing exercise. I learned it from a book that I read recently called Brave New Girl. If you haven't read it already, go and read it, because it is absolutely amazing. But one of the exercises they get you to do is to turn your negative thoughts into a positive one. There's 3 categories. You have your negative thought in the first one, which is what you write down. The second category is your thinking error. So is it quite a black and white thought rather than a deep analytical thought. And then the third column is turning it into a rational, kind perspective for yourself. So say, for example, with the university example I used with the assignments, I got a really bad grade back, which made me think that it's rubbish, that's it, that it's either has to be really, really good, an amazing, immaculate, beautiful piece of work, or it's just rubbish. Like there's no other way, it's either this or that. Then with the third column, it's turning it into a bit more of a rational, kind perspective. So instead of it being this is a black and white thing, think about it as this was a really difficult assignment for me to do. The fact that I managed to write it out and learn things for myself that I didn't know before, that's an amazing achievement. That's something to look at and be really proud of. And even though it didn't come out as the grade that I would have wanted it to be, I can try again next time. I could do things a bit differently, maybe research things a bit more, maybe ask more questions from people like lecturers and peers, changing it so it's a bit more kind of perspective for yourself. So instead of having this negative label on this thought, think about a kind of perspective for that thought. And then that kind of leads on into mindset. So having a really positive mindset, a really constructive mindset works wonders for worrying. It really does. It really helps you put things into a more clearer perspective for yourself. And one way to do that is with obviously the exercise that I've just said, and to just write down the thought. So if you've got a worrying thought, write it down in front of you, look at it and really take it apart, really think about that thought. You start with, okay, why am I having this thought? Okay, I figured out why I'm having this thought. What does that mean? Okay, so it means that. What can I do to change it? What can I do to put a positive spin on it? And change your mindset. If you're a naturally worrying person, if you're somebody that is quite pessimistic or had a lot of these bad experiences and are not optimistic about things, it's not something that can happen overnight. It's something that takes a long time to do. So self-development books are great for that. Listening to podcasts, listening to other YouTubers and looking into why they feel the way they feel and what it's done for them. It's a really great exercise to do for yourself. The more often you can do these things, the quicker you'll see the results and the quicker you'll be able to train your mind and change your mindset about things. As well as writing it down, you can also talk to people about it. Sometimes talking to people about how you're feeling, what you're worried about, can give an outside perspective on things, and it gives them kind of an outside view in. So instead of you viewing it, you've given that to somebody as an outside perspective, and they can say, okay, well, from what I can see, da 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 da. I think sometimes just talking it over with people, like people you trust and people you know that will give you the advice that you need, it's just so beneficial. And I've done it so many times before where something that I thought was the biggest worry in the world was actually quite minute when I spoke about it. And that doesn't mean to say that you're not allowed to have worrying thoughts. Of course you are. We all have them every single day. And even if you think it's the littlest minuscule worry that is not worth even speaking about, speak about it anyway, because 9 times out of 10, once you've released it, you'll feel so much better and you'll feel like you can tackle these things a bit more, and just talking to people is a really good thing to do. Even talking out loud. If you're somebody that finds talking to other people a bit awkward or just not how you would normally deal with things, talk to yourself out loud about it. Something that I've spoken about before is when you speak to yourself inside, you're very likely to be over-analysing, getting those cogs turning and not finding a solution. Whereas if you're talking to yourself out loud, you're able to interpret things a bit more, you're able to really analytically think whilst you express all your thoughts. So it's kind of talking to somebody again, but you're talking to yourself. So that's a really positive, good exercise to try if you're somebody that doesn't necessarily like talking to people firsthand, especially if you're somebody that you know you can deal with these things, or you know that you're confident enough to do it but you're just uncertain of how to do it. It's a brilliant exercise to try. Just talk to yourself. A quote that I love that was from one of the coaches that I followed before: talk to yourself, don't listen to yourself. The last thing that you can do for worrying is thinking about what you can control. I remember years ago, I think I was in my second job with my manager. He was lovely, absolutely loved working with him. And I used to tell him my worries, like if it was just like college worries or school worries, like just anything like that. And one of the first things he'd said to me was, is that something you can control? Is that something you can do something about now? And thinking about it for a few seconds, I turned back and I said, no. And he said, then there's no point worrying about it. And that is probably one of the best pieces of advice that I've got. I think if there's something you physically can't do about it, if there's something you physically can't control with that worry, there's no point even thinking that you can do something about it. Again, you'll just get yourself in that horrible spiral where you'll just continuously think about it and just think, why am I doing this to myself? And it's not even worth it. Look towards things that you can control. Things like your physical aspect of things, like doing your fitness, eating right, drinking lots of water, doing your hobbies, reading books, things that you know you can do to help yourself or to decrease the worrying thoughts. That's things to really focus on. Once you have those thought processes, once you have those thoughts of thinking, what is it that I can control that will stop me from have these worrying thoughts, or at least reduce them, you're in such a better mindset. You'll feel so much more confident in yourself and you'll feel so empowered. I think people forget sometimes when you choose to try to deal with them and when you choose to really acknowledge what it is that you're worrying about, like that's like an empowering thing, just to know that you yourself can do something about it. You don't have to rely on anybody else. Once you rely on yourself and know that you can control your worry, then you'll just be unstoppable, and that's just amazing. And that's all the tips and talks and chats that I have on worrying. Hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any thoughts and feelings about this video, please comment down below. I'd love to hear about any other Let's Talk Mentality videos you'd like me to speak about. It's just an amazing platform to share with you guys and just to have those thoughts, and yeah, just know that we're all in this together. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.